morning. I'd like to call the Commissioners Board together, and Marie will lead us in the flag pledge today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and good morning to all of you, and welcome to our June 11th Nicollet County Board of Commissioners meeting. We have some amendments to our agenda.
Correct, Mr. Chair. For the agenda, I have under administration a professional services contract with Gale Tech Engineering, and then also update on some projects we have going on around the campus here. And then under the ditch authority, we will be adding a ditch hearing for minor alterations to ditches numbers 23, 27, 30A, 76, and 78, branch 1B. That has all been noticed and published according to statute, so we just need to include that with the agenda under the ditch authority, which, depending on how the meeting goes, we may want to move the ditch authority items all down to 10 o'clock, which is when the hearing is.
I think that's what we will do. So we'll add item 3 to the ditch authority, which will be the public hearing, and we will move the entire parcel and the meeting of the ditch authority to 10 o'clock.
Move the additions.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Jamie, do we have any introductions today? I don't
I believe so.
think we have any. Okay, well, we are flying through the agenda. And we have the consent agenda. We have 2 items there, the approval of the board minutes and the approval of the bills. I'd entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All, motion passes unanimously, thank you. Well, I think we have Jennifer Nelson up next, our Communications and Development Associate from Southern Minnesota Initiative Fund, and welcome to our board meeting.
Thanks. I know
Thank
we
you.
included a few things in your packet, but some stuff isn't easy to email.
Right.
Someday maybe we'll get on the page where everything can be emailable, or paperless like you guys are doing. But it's also fun to be able to highlight some of the stories, and we could send links. But anyway, many of you know that we are a regional foundation. We cover 20 counties in southern Minnesota, southeast, south central Minnesota. McKnight Foundation started us in 1986 during the farm crisis to serve this region, and we have representatives representing 14 of our 20 counties at any given time. I will say we don't have anyone from Nicollet County at the moment, but we would love, we opened up our board probably the last 2 years for applicants, so anybody who would like to apply could apply. So please consider that going forward if you know of anybody who would like to serve on a regional foundation board. In Nicollet, or overall, we spend about $5 million in any given year back into the region, and that's really split between our 3 focus areas: economic development, early childhood development, and community vitality. We spend a little over $2 million on our economic development work, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. We spend about 1.8 on our early childhood work. That area has definitely grown for us over the last few years. I will say, if I presented here back in 2013, that number would have been closer to about 1.2 million. So we continue to increase the resources we have available for our early childhood work. And our third area is community vitality, and there again, that's another area that we continue to see grow. And I was in St. Peter a couple weeks ago, and they said, well, your economic development work, there's a lot of economic developers out there. Why are you in this realm? And I will say in any given year we do 30 loans, not very many, and 90% of those are in partnership with another financial institution, a local EDA, county, industrial corp. So we look for partners because we do only have a finite amount of dollars that we invest in that area. Highlighted in our annual report this year, we highlighted a story that really gives a good snapshot of our economic development work, and the area that we are expanding is our technical assistance. And so the Grandma's Gourmet, who is highlighted, you can probably find her at the I'm sure she has food at the co-op over here. Bloody Mary pickles are really good for anybody who wants to know. She started attending our Feast Festival at the Mayo Civic Center in Rochester 5 years ago now, and she connected up. We have one day that's set aside for buyers and then one day that's set aside for the public. And then we have over 100 local food purveyors and vendors that participate from the tri-state area. And so she connected with a Hy-Vee buyer the first day. She got into some of the local Hy-Vees in Iowa and Minnesota. She expanded her business. I live in Northfield. I see her stuff at the co-op in Northfield. I'm sure it's here at the food co-op as well. And so she just continued to receive technical assistance grants, and we received some state dollars to do a Feast Smart Start initiative, which was doing more one-on-one support of local food entrepreneurs, and so she benefited from that program as well. Flash forward a couple more years, and she received a loan from us in partnership with the Albert Lee Economic Development Agency. But there again, she had about 4 years of technical assistance, and then she became a loan client of ours. So that's just a really good, epitomizes kind of where we're going in the work that we do in economic development. We also have a local SCORE chapter, which Nicollet County can participate in that. We cover Nicollet County. We have over 40 trained SCORE members, and they go out to do one-on-one technical assistance with businesses throughout, or 7 out of our 20 counties. Our latest program, probably our newest, is our Prosperity Initiative. We received some deed dollars about 5 years ago, and that program has continued on. We lost deed funding for no fault of our own. So we had other donors that helped support that program, and we continued it on. Now this past year we had been included in some deed funding again, and so we continue that program. I know we are working with a St. Peter business, but our Prosperity Initiative is really focused on minority and immigrant entrepreneurs who want to start businesses and maybe just need a little bit of extra technical assistance hand-holding. So we partner with Region 9 on that program, and they've helped coach a number of, I think we've had over 50 companies from North Mankato in this area, and Region 9 in general. So Region 9's been a great partner in that program for us. 2 local, I know River Rock Coffee here in town, as well as Exceed Packaging in St. Peter as well, have both been recipients of loan and technical assistance. If I switch gears to our early childhood work, we continue to be a grant maker, helping to support pre-K to grade 3 alignment grants. In addition to grants, one of the stories also highlighted in the annual report this year is A Chance to Grow. They've received over $100,000 in grants from us to support over, I think it's 287 teachers. It's one of the bubbles on the left side of your page. And we continue to provide grant dollars to A Chance to Grow so they can help support local kindergarten, first grade teachers. And the story that we highlighted is about Lake Crystal. However, we've trained teachers all over the 20 counties that we cover, so that's just a good snapshot. Well, we also provide literacy books. I know Minnesota Valley Action Council, which impacts Nicollet County here, has received a number of books. We just went through our recent literacy grant round, and I know Minnesota Valley Action Council is received over 600 books. So we continue that program in partnership with Abdo and Capstone. There again, we always talk about collaborating for regional vitality, and we can't do it alone. So we have some great partners that help support that program as well. Our 2 other signature programs, I guess, in our early childhood work has been our quality child care provider training, and we've trained over 700 licensed child care providers in our 20 counties. I know we've provided that training here in St. Peter. a number of years, probably 2 years ago now, but we had over 30 licensed child care providers, and we invite from Nicollet County, but also the surrounding counties as well. And that program, we were allocated some dollars from the state this year, so we had been receiving funding from Blue Cross Blue Shield to provide that. Mayo Foundation, or Mayo Clinic, has provided some dollars as well. But there again, the importance of that work finally elevated to the state, and so now we're receiving some dollars to continue that program throughout the 20 counties, and we've had some great success there. We have about 28% of the licensed child care providers that go through that training go on to become Parent Aware rated, which is the state quality rating system for our child care providers. And the state average is about 22%. Our newest program is our child care shortage, which we just launched last year. We are only able to work with five communities in the year ahead, but we'll share the stories that we're getting. We're working in Eagle Lake, Wells, Minnesota. We're working with Watonwan County as a whole. We're working with Albert Lee and also in Austin. So we tried to pick a couple different communities and area all over our 20 counties, but we're hoping that some of the stories that come from this we can share, and that will help support all of our communities that are dealing with the child care shortage. So you'll stay tuned for more stories. We also have an early childhood dental network in Nicollet and Blue Earth County, and I know some of the dollars are going to support the Children's Museum is putting in a new exhibit in Mankato that will highlight dental care in 0 to 3. So I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it will be installed this summer. So that's a good highlight, I guess, of the early childhood work that we do. Community vitality is our third area and probably where we spend the least, but I will say we are seeing the most growth. I've been at the foundation for 20 years, and I think when I started we had about 13 community foundations that were under our umbrella. We currently have 29 community foundations. Some of our newest ones are Wells, Alden, Blue Earth, Mapleton, Madison, Lake. They're spread throughout our 20 counties. Montgomery is one of our newest ones as well. But there again, they can use our 501c3. We help operate the kind of back office, and they get to do the fundraising and the grant making for the community. We help build their resources. We provide some matching dollars. We help them with social media, plan giving information, because we want to help them capture resources in their community. So if that's an interest in any of your communities here in Nicollet County, we are a resource. I know when I was talking to the St. Peter Council, they are under Mankato Area Foundation. That's great. We just want to help build the resources for our communities, and I will say our niche is really the communities that are 5,000 and under. We continue to work, and if I look at Fillmore County, I think we have 6 there, and none of their communities are over 5,000. So, but that's an area that has grown. We also have a number of designated funds for our 20 county area that help support. So donor advised funds, we just signed a $1 million letter of intent to support our early childhood work. And then women entrepreneurs as well. And so that's an area that's growing, especially with the tax law change. So we've seen a lot of our communities looking at the transfer of wealth and how can they help their community remain viable and a vital place that people want to live, work, and play. So we're happy to help them with that. And we actually don't charge our community foundations other than an investment fee, which is just a pass-through fee. We have, over the last 3 years, we've invested about $175,000 back into Nicollet County. We'd like to do more work. I will say all of our counties are different, and I know you received a county fact sheet that sort of highlights some of the work that we've done recently. We often say for every dollar that we raise in a county that we invest back 10, and that's our regional average. So you can see for Nicollet County, it's for every dollar we raise in Nicollet County, we invest $14 back. And that's through our programming, our loans, our grants, and our community vitality work as well. St. Peter, I think, just received a Paint the Town grant. I can't remember what it was for, but I just read the press release this morning. So, sorry. In and out, 1 year, and forgot that one already today. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I have a few, actually. Quick ones. So, in the fact sheet that you handed out, it says, your gift of $3,500 will allow the foundation to invest $49,000 in your community in 2020. That's not a commitment by the foundation.
It's not a commitment. It's based on the averages that we have here for every dollar that we raise, that we can invest back in that much. So no, that's not a commitment, but that's what we are saying. So we leverage additional dollars, like the quality child care provider training. We may raise $1 here, but we're also getting dollars outside from the state and Blue Cross Blue Shield to put that programming on.
Thank you. And I'm not
Yeah.
pressing you on that. I just want to get clear that it could be more, it could be less.
Yes.
25% of your budget is revenues from a category you all call spending policy.
Yes.
Is that state funding?
Nope, that's
What is
not.
from?
That is, so we have about a $38 million endowment fund.
Okay.
So in any given year, we receive $1 million in funding from McKnight to help support,
Right.
continue to support our programming and our overhead. Our board has allocated a 4% spending policy. We're very conservative. And so we spend 4% of our endowment fund every year on our programming.
And I'm sorry, I must be confused. Yeah, your materials say 22% from the McKnight Foundation,
Yeah.
25% from spending policy.
Yeah. So our spending policy is, we're using money off of our own endowment fund.
You've got I think some exciting programming on farmland and retention.
Yes, so we have a farmland retention. I know there's a million things we do, so I'm glad you asked. Our farmland retention program is really unique. I just worked with our first farmer in Martin County, so we have our first farm finally. And it is ideal probably for a bachelor farmer, but this gentleman is not. He has a daughter. And what it is the rental payments ultimately, after the farmer passes, can go for charitable purposes. So they can either set it up as a donor advised fund. They can set it up where in the one in Martin County, he allocated it to 3 specific charities. So upon his passing, after working the numbers, paying the tax, and we're not going to manage the land. That's not really what we want to get into. We want to get into helping keep the resources here. So after paying somebody to do the land, I figured it's about $30,000 every year back to those charities. So $10,000 apiece for those charities, and that's the value of the land right now. And for those of you who are farmers, I was talking to somebody. They're like, "That's about 250 acres." I'm like, "Yep, you got it." But he has more that's coming to him from his mom, and so those numbers will look very different in a couple years. So it is ultimately, when we started it, it's a benefit for our community foundations, because all of our community foundations are in small farm communities, and we're really helping to support all of our community foundations with farmland retention materials, so they can talk to their local farmers who want to be charitable or who are charitably inclined and want to donate that land or that farm to the community foundation, and then we'll help them manage it by keeping those dollars working in either through their endowment fund or through a donor advised fund.
Just one more.
Please.
I think this is about the 3rd or 4th conversation in the last couple of weeks where someone's mentioned child care and the availability of child care.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you all see as the barriers that you're able to help with that they're keeping folks from either entering or staying in child care?
Well, most of our child care providers are older and have been doing it for 30 years. And so what we're finding is that they're retiring, and there's not a lot of, hate picking on millennials, but there's not a lot of millennials who want to take those jobs and who want to work out of their homes and have those long hours and not get paid very well. And so we're trying to find ways in our quality childcare provider training. I mean, we're doing it on a Monday night, so it's a convenient 6:30 to 9:30. We feed them dinner. They get continuing ed credits that they need to get to keep their childcare license up, and we're just not finding enough people who want to go in, and so how do we attract them? And so we're working through some of those things in our communities. I will say we've been working in Austin for over the last year. Their initial number was 1,300 slots that they needed. Now they're down to about 1,100. And they had a new childcare center open, but that's not the answer to all of our communities. It's attracting childcare providers, people who want to get into it. It's a thankless job. I give them a lot of credit because it is long hours and the pay isn't great. And then being a parent, from a parent perspective, we always think we're paying too much. So there's that real disconnect. So we're trying to help break down those barriers. We work with First Children's Finance out of the cities, as well as Child Care Aware, Southern Minnesota, and they are helping to put out this program, this child care shortage program. So I don't have a lot of answers like why. I mean, there's a lot of regulations as well around childcare that we are not. We may go and talk at the state level about it, but we don't lobby, so we haven't been able to make a lot of changes in that area. And I wanted to add, since you were talking about that, we also do an early child care conference every October. We took it over from a nonprofit probably 5 years ago now. And the first year we did it, we had 300 licensed child care providers participate. Last year we had over 500. So it's a conference where they are receiving, in any given year, they need to get 16 continuing ed credits. And last year they received 8 just in one day. So they can come in on a Saturday and just pound out 8 continuing ed credits, which is great. We just, this year we'll have 6 credits, and that we may add a Friday night, but I'm not sure about that. And that would add another 2 credits that they could get at that conference.
John?
Yes, have you worked with our 3 smaller communities in Nicollet County? Nicollet, Cortland, and Lafayette?
We haven't. We haven't. There's none, and I know we send out press releases. We have a good relationship with the county licensor in all of our 20 counties. So we do continue to, if you know of needs that they have, please.
Well, I meant more the community development or economic development.
Okay. Like loans and partnering, I can certainly visit with them. I will say that we always send out every year, and Ryan gets it. If you want us to come and talk about the resources that we have, let us know. We're always willing to do that. So I can definitely reach out to those communities.
Very nice, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Please.
Jennifer, thanks for being here. Could you just describe to me the 11% admin and fundraising as expenses?
Mm-hmm.
Which one, how much does admin represent and how much does fundraising represent?
I will have to double check with our COO, but I know Tim is adamant about keeping our expenses low, and pretty much I will say that my time and Tim's time is probably represented in there because we're the 2 major fundraisers for the organization. And then admin, just the pieces that go into the solicitation and the overhead costs and the cost of materials like this, our annual report, things like that are included.
In terms of the money that you raise and invest, do you have a rule that says we will pay out X number of the investments that we gain, or do you just share it all?
Say that again.
When your foundation is receiving donations,
Mm-hmm.
and those donations are invested, do you use a percentage of the investments, or do you use all of them? We
do only use a percentage. Currently, our board policy is 4%. I will say before 2008, it was 5%. And then it was 4.5%, and now it's 4%. I know our board continues to look at that. So we can have more dollars to spend. Currently, we just launched a Love Where You Live campaign to raise $3.5 million for our endowment funds. We have a general endowment fund, a youth trust fund, and an entrepreneur fund. So we're raising $1 million for our entrepreneur fund and then $1 million for our youth trust fund and 1.5. So we can do more investments. But yes, another way to look at that would be to increase our spending policy to 4.5%. And I know our board looks at that.
And maybe I'm missing it here, this is my final question. What are the total endowments for Smith?
Yep, our total endowment, I believe, is right around 38 million right now, and then we have about 12 million for our community foundations. So, and our designated funds. So all of those are kind of lumped together in one, and that's about, we had a goal of reaching 10 million, and I know we exceeded that this past year, so we're at about 12 for that area.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Jennifer, thank you for your journey here, and we certainly appreciate the update. It's very helpful for us also, and gives us another resource also, so we do appreciate that.
Well, thank you
very
for
much.
your support as well. We really appreciate that.
Thank you. Do we have any public appearances? I see no one jumping forward for public appearances. We are moving ahead to our administration.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair. First item is our agenda addition for a professional services contract with Gale Tech Engineering. Our county engineer, Seth Greenwood, contacted me this morning and said he was meeting with the Federal Highway Administration this morning to go over funding, disaster funding for County Road 14, which, as we know, has washed part of a hillside away and is in danger of being closed soon, so we need to take action on that relatively quickly. The Federal Highway Administration has agreed to waive federal bidding requirements so we can enter into a professional service contract with Gale Tech Engineering, and what they're going to be doing is geotechnical engineering for us because of the unique nature of this, we'll call it a landslide, for nothing, lack of a better term, ways to reinforce that hillside, and one, put material back, and then two, get it to stay. So we need to bring in professionals that work with that. The fee for this consultant would be covered under federal disaster funding, 80%, with a 20% match that we would pay county state aid dollars, use that to pay our share. And because timing is somewhat critical with this project, we're requesting today that the board approve that our county engineer be authorized to enter into a professional service contract with Gale Tech Engineering, pending review of the contract by the county attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify, competitive bidding doesn't apply in this situation?
Right. For federal, that requirement has been waived. In the state of Minnesota, because it's a professional service contract, we do not have to follow that statute or those requirements.
Looking for a motion now.
We happy to.
I move that we allow our county engineer to go ahead with this project.
We have a motion. Need a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any additional questions? Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then I would like a few minutes here to update the board on a lot of projects we have going on here at the government's campus and within our departments. First of all, on our facility projects, the sheriff's office, as you know, is done for the most part, other than blinds on the inside. We are now landscaping around that facility to complete that portion of the project. We have obtained quotes for putting a new roof on the sheriff's office. We're planning to put steel shingles on. We have 4 quotes, and we will be presenting those at the next board meeting for approval. with recommending for the low quote for approval. So the sheriff's office is moving on. That is tentatively set to start mid-July with a 4 to 6 week time frame for completion of the roof project. Health and Human Services and IT expansion space. As you know, we are putting in additional office space in the new Health and Human Service building on 2nd floor and IT space in the basement. That will be done this month. And then we're hoping that furniture will arrive in July, that we can get that set up and be using it maybe by the end of July or early August. So that's moving along well. The parking lot that is budgeted for this year on Front Street, Public Works is taking the lead on this project for us as one of their projects this year. They're opening bids next Monday, and if we get an acceptable bid, we plan to present that at the June 25th meeting. And if approved, we're slating a July 15th start date with an October 4th completion date, pending, of course, weather. So that is slated to move forward. That's about a 70 or 75 stall parking lot. Air conditioning units. We've had a lot of issues with air conditioning units this year. We have a new unit in North Mankato that we put in last fall, but I believe it's the condenser and the items around the units that was not replaced is shot, and so we had to replace that unexpectedly last week, and we went a few days without air when it was in the 80s because we couldn't get parts in. That's up and running. Government Center, there's an air unit on top of this building. Something went haywire with it this weekend. Maintenance was in on the weekend trying to get it fixed. They got it fixed, but that was an unexpected one. And then, unfortunately, our newer train units that we have out by the jail, you recall a year and a half ago, we purchased 2 new units there because our other ones died. One of those has something wrong internally with it, and we're hoping it's still under warranty. We're still trying to determine that, but I would certainly hope it is. It's only, I believe, 16 months or 18 months into service. But anyways, I will be coming with a budget amendment sometime this summer once all these bills are paid for, that we weren't planning on, but cost of doing business, I guess. Any questions on any of our building projects or facility projects?
I just have one question. Was there was some discussion about acquisition of another property. Where are we in that, or is that on hold, or we don't?
I have a purchase agreement signed,
Okay.
so that is moving forward.
And so that will be incorporated in our overall design plan?
No.
Or we're not gonna extend at this point, but we're gonna do the land act?
We're leaving it open now, but designed for option to expand.
Perfect.
Right across the street.
Yep.
Software update. Caseworks, you recall we had a presentation for the board at a workshop for human services, document management software. I believe we'll be ready to bring that forward at our next board meeting. So that is moving forward, and the plan is we are gonna host that internally, not in a partnership with anyone else. For a variety of reasons, we just feel that that's the best option. Other software, payroll and HR software. We're replacing our current payroll and HR software system. We've spent the last 6 months researching a replacement for that. We've had 8 staff from admin, HR, and finance researching that, and we have it down to, well, I'll say 2 vendors at this point. And we're continuing to do demos and background checks and negotiations with vendors and all that fun stuff. So I'm hoping that in July we can bring a recommendation to make a purchase there, and replace our existing system that was very disappointing to work with. Related to that, I don't know if it's gonna be our next board meeting or the first one in July, but Public Works, as part of our payroll transition to new software, needs to add a timesheeting software. It's called RT Vision. Most county public works agencies in the state have this, because for public works you have to do something called cost accounting when you fill out your timesheets. And so this is actually a relatively, not even relatively, it is a low-cost software that we'll be purchasing and then thus integrating into our eventual new replacement software for payroll. Any questions on software?
Is that integration doable with the current candidates without reinventing the wheel? So the integration from your RT Vision into whatever else we're using, or do we have to buy a bridge?
I don't know.
No. They currently are integrated with both of them
Okay.
in other counties
So,
or
yeah.
cities.
Well,
so-
and sometimes we run into those issues, that's why I'm asking the questions, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Last item is the 2020 census. I know Commissioner Morrow and Commissioner Kohlers, I believe, attended a informational session on that hosted by AMC in North Mankato a couple months ago. I met with, myself and Jessica Morrison met with an official from the Census Bureau. What the census is trying to do for 2020 to really emphasize trying to get an accurate count. They're trying to work with local governments to help assist and get the message out. And they have something called a Complete Count Committee, and they're encouraging local governments to, form those, and they can be really as loose or as formal as you want to have them. So what I plan to do is move forward with the Nicollet County Complete Count Committee, and my plan with that is Jessica would be the lead person on that. And what that enables us to do is get information from the Census Bureau to put out in various forms, electronically, that type of thing. We'll maybe even have a presentation at the township meeting this summer to have the information spread there. And then we're gonna just work internally to work with our department heads and our Leadership Nicollet County group to come up with ideas and ways to really spread the information. In his presentation to us, it was interesting that on their list of hard to count individuals, that list was almost completely clients of Health, Human, and Veteran Services. So we're gonna work extensively with Health, Human, and Veteran Services to really try to make sure those folks get counted. St. Peter is doing their own Complete Count Committee. I've talked with them, and we're gonna collaborate when appropriate. North Mankato is not planning to do a committee, but does plan to put information out, so. Any questions with that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for doing that, because I think, and Jack probably, this is a tremendously important issue, and we've had community interest, and certainly, I think all of us probably can share names with you of community members who've shown interest in moving this community effort forward. And I'm also glad that you're working with St. Peter, because we had heard that the city had started its own effort as well.
Yep. Yeah, it's very important. We receive, of course, an enormous amount of federal funding individually as Nicollet County, but so that the census plays into all of that, along with we're sitting on the bubble for a congressional seat in Minnesota too, so.
And the funding is often based on county population count.
Yeah, it's usually one of the equations in the formula. Yep. So. That is it.
Did you have a question, John?
Yeah. So if you have a low-income person that gets counted, does that get us more aid than a high-income person as far as getting missed?
No, what they really want is just every person to respond to the survey.
Okay.
And they're gonna try to do it as much as they can electronically, online.
Oh.
You will also have the option to phone in your response. And then right now they're hiring census workers already. And eventually, once the census happens, official census day is April 1st of next year. People that they just think they have not gotten a response from, there'll be door-to-door knocking occurring.
And our Health and Human Services people can share information with.
Right, it'll be a matter of providing census information, just educating. They say some people you need to get a message in front of them 7 times before they will do it, and so they're just asking that we help provide material and market the importance of the census.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything additional there? Is there anything else you have?
Nope, that's it, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Proceed on. Chair's report. Obviously, we've all been attending lots of meetings and lots of sessions. Let's see, my report involves, I have to check my list. Comprehensive plan meeting that we all shared, my duties with Nicollet County HRA, the MRCI board, Nicollet County Extension. We attended the Nicollet Growth presentation, AMC district meeting, which most of us, I think everybody but you, Terry, were able to be there, which was great to see. I would take the moment to acknowledge that Commissioner Kolars has served 2 terms as the chair of that committee and was recognized by the group. A lovely plaque suitable for framing was presented to him, and we're thankful for his leadership and his work in that area. Commissioner Lipke and I also did a view with staff at 62A, and I also participated in the Collaborative Joint Powers Board last week. So that is my report, and we'll continue with Commissioner Kolars.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jurisdictional meeting that we all attended, which was very, very informational in terms of what lies ahead for roads and bridges in our county. Attended the AMC training at South Central May 30th. As Commissioner Kemp mentioned, thanks to all who came to the AMC District 7 meeting on June 5th in St. James. Blair Nelson is the new district director, and Mark People of Blue Earth County is the new vice director. So we look forward to answering any questions that they may have as they begin their service. And we had our Maple policy meeting on June 6th. That's all I have.
Thank you, Marie.
I attended a joint ditch MnDOT meeting in Gaylord last Monday, of which we'll have a repeat of here this morning. The AMC meeting in St. James. Same day I was back for a Region 9 board meeting in Mankato, and then yesterday the 62A landowners meeting.
Yeah.
Commissioner Moore?
Yeah, we were all at the 62A meeting. Gonna take a personal moment, say, celebrated a graduation, got the last one done, I think.
College or high school?
College. Had a broadband meeting, also had a meeting up at our office at the MSBA called the Big Four. League of Minnesota Cities, AMC was there, townships. This was coinciding with the meeting down in St. James, or closely aligned. We had presentations by the Center for Rural Policy and Development, by Region 9, by Kent TC, who gave an update on the ag economy, and I have notes which I hope to share with you all on those presentations. They focused on the farm economy, focused on broadband, focused on the need for childcare, which came up earlier.
Okay, went to the joint ditch meeting in Gaylord with Marie. Went to the district meeting in St. James with most of you. Did a couple constituent visits, and one of them was really close to County Road 14, so I went and looked at that as long as I was over there, and also drove up the bottom road 21 as far as the barriers and back, and looked at a couple issues that we don't want to discuss right now. Went to the jurisdictional transfers with most of you. Denny and I went to the county extension meeting, and we were told that Kelsey Brandt is going to be the 4-H interim, and she started yesterday, I believe. Went to the Nicollet Foundation meeting, or at least the last part of it, with Denny.
and went to the Rural Minnesota Energy Board meeting in Slayton, and they welcomed us as long as we sent them a check, I guess. You got unanimously, we had to get approved, and I was unanimously approved. Went to the comprehensive plan with the rest of you, and Denny and I went on a 62A tour hosted by Nate on Friday, and it was very enlightening. Thank you.
Is there anything else that we have any meetings and conferences we need to post? I don't think there's.
Nothing new.
Has anyone sought to go to Clark County for the national conference?
Not gonna work for me, but
Okay. Nobody, okay.
Mr. Chair, from our AMC district meeting, it sounds like the commissioners will be getting an invite to the White House again.
Right.
Soon, I believe.
I think they posted the date as August 20th.
Oh, did they?
Was,
Okay.
I think that's what she said they thought was gonna be ours. So you should be receiving a email directly that you will see it comes from the White House, and you'll go, is this a hoax? It appears to be adequate to open. So you may be seeing that in your incoming email boxes, so just so you're aware of that.
Last year I got a phone call.
Yes.
And I was driving down the road and I hung up on him and he called me back.
So,
It's not what you want coming
it's-
through your radio speakers.
but,
Hoping-
well, and you're used to accepting things via tweet, right? So
No,
it's
no, I
all
don't do that either. It's just the phone in my world.
I
And
gotcha, okay. Anything else? I need a motion to approve per diems and expenses.
Move it.
Do we have a motion?
One second.
Do we have a second? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Motion passes unanimously. Do we have anything that we need to reconvene for? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, and then we will convene the Ditch Authority meeting at 10 o'clock, because that's when we have posted for our public hearing. So is that acceptable with you, Jackie? Yes. That will work?
So moved.
I have a motion to adjourn.
second.
Have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned, and we will be convening the Drainage Authority meeting at 10. I'd like to call the Drainage Authority meeting to order, and we have an amendment to the agenda for which was item 3, which is our MnDOT
Public hearing. Public
So
hearing for
we wanted to make sure
alterations
you're in the
of
list there, so.
So, Mr. Chair, I move we amend the agenda to
Second.
include that item.
We have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Approved unanimously. And first item on our agenda now is consent agenda. I'd entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
so moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have before us a request to set the date for final redetermination hearings for County Ditch 77, CD 77, Lat 1, BR 4, CD 77, Lat 2, and CD 77, Lat 3. Good morning, Jackie.
Morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. We have received final redetermination reports from Ron Winquist, the lead viewer, on those said ditches. I would like to set the hearing date for the final hearing for the redetermination for July 9th at 10 o'clock.
So moved.
Entertain a motion. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
And I just want to note that Ron will be doing a landowner informational meeting on July 2nd at 10 o'clock right here in the boardroom as well. All right.
Thank you. Are you going to introduce our public hearing?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So the 10 o'clock hearing is for minor alterations for various ditches, and this will be facilitated by the Minnesota Department of Transportation, and we have here Kyle Vogt from the DOT that will be presenting this item.
Good morning, Kyle.
Good morning.
Thank you.
I'm Kyle Vogt. I work for MnDOT. I'm in the hydraulics department. And I'm here about the road between Trunk Highway 111 and 22 between Nicollet and Gaylord. And the proposed construction on the road is we plan on reclaiming it. So we're going to grind up the existing bituminous into gravel and overlay it with more bituminous asphalt. So while we're grinding up the road, it's a good time to replace some of these bad culverts. A lot of these culverts are metal and they've reached their life. So that's why I'm here today. We've got several pipes on the county ditch systems and tile that we'd like to replace or change or update. I think the first culvert or the first county ditch system would be County Ditch 76. And our proposal, right on County Ditch 76, there is an existing 36-inch steel and a 48-inch CMP pipe. The 36-inch steel is the low pipe, which was put in 1977, and that's showing it's very highly corroded. And the 48-inch pipe, which is higher, which is an old MnDOT pipe, initially put in I believe in the 40s, that's highly corroded too. So I'd like to replace both of them and put in a 60-inch reinforced concrete pipe at the low pipe elevation, existing elevations. So replace both those pipes with a new 60-inch reinforced concrete pipe that's tied and a longer lasting, higher strength pipe. And what I've done, we have the proposed headwater and tailwater elevations. So replacing both those pipes with the initial pipe, it shows very little change between our headwater conditions at the 100-year flood level. So that's a good match with the 60-inch. Yeah, do we have, is there any comments or anything on that?
Mr. Chair? Is this flat bottom or completely round? The one you're gonna-
This will be completely round.
Okay.
And we're trenching this in. So when I mean trench, is we're gonna excavate out and then put this pipe in and build it back up when the road is closed. I just wanna make sure I'm not missing anything on that. And that's all we could find. I mean, there's no tile going underneath that area or anything. It's just those two pipes in that county ditch and replacing it with one. So yeah, if there's no comment on that, I'd like to move on to the next ditch.
Do we have to treat these separately?
I don't believe we have, this is all under one resolution,
Okay.
so
Okay, good.
if you find something else I wanna go back, we will after the fact, but go
Okay,
ahead and
okay, yeah.
continue your presentation.
Okay, because we got five
Right.
crossings
Go ahead.
here. Okay. The next county ditch would be County Ditch 30A. And this ditch runs right along the highway. on the east side of the highway. And then it curves into, and then it bends a 90 and goes underneath the highway. What we plan on doing there is just, so there's a 42-inch reinforced concrete pipe that goes underneath the road. That in itself is in good condition, but there's some slumping problems on the bank that we'd like to fix. And how we're gonna fix some of those slumping problems is we're gonna extend the existing 42-inch concrete pipe by adding an apron. But what's happened is the joint, right now there's no apron there. So if we add an apron, we'll move it out 8 feet, which will stabilize the bank at a flatter slope. But to do that, we're gonna have to remove the first section of pipe because the joint is bad on that. So remove the first section of pipe, put a new section of pipe on, and then an apron, which should move the pipe out 8 feet. And what will that do? Will flatten the inslope a bit and should stabilize that area. But we plan on adding rock riprap around that pipe and along the bend to make it so the water can do a 90 into that pipe and have a less erosive force on the existing bank there.
This is on the inlet side.
This is
correct?
on the inlet side.
Okay, so that'd be on the east side of the road.
Yes, yep. So this is on the east side of the road. And also on the east side of the road is a 48-inch old MnDOT pipe, a 48-inch CMP pipe that's been abandoned on the west side of the road. But on the east side, it's still open. So I'd like to finish abandoning that.
What does that entail, if I may ask?
What we're gonna do is put brick, basically block that pipe and fill it with sand, and then stabilize. Add more. Add more soil to the bank and flatten that bank out to match what's there. You know, pretty much
So we're
to
not
match
getting
the.
any discharge from that pipe on the west side of the road, but it transverses the highway now.
No, we're not getting any discharge on the west side of the road. It's been buried, abandoned.
Okay.
I think when they did work, they must have done work in 1997 when they've done work on the west side of the road.
That somehow got re-exposed, is that what you're?
No, but I think that's when it must have been abandoned earlier than that because I don't see that in the records. But right now, the west side of the road we don't plan on doing any work there. It's stabilized and I don't see any problems there. It's just that the east section, they must have just left it alone because the guardrail was there and.
So, I'm sorry, was that, to answer is that your full response on that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then I just have a question. I'm no hydrologist, you're the guy with all those funny initials behind his name, so you're gonna have to tell me this. By adding the apron, does that change our flow rate crossing, at that crossing? Does it increase it, does it decrease it? Is it merely a stabilization issue?
It merely stays the same.
Okay.
And adding an apron should make the entrance more efficient for water to go into.
Okay.
But the calculations show it's pretty much the same because you're making the water do a 90 going in. So it really didn't make any change. what the apron's doing now is just giving us,
Stabilizing the flow coming into it.
yeah, yeah,
And
and,
minimizing any sloughing
yeah,
adjacent to that.
yeah,
point,
it's
right?
giving us extra distance to move that bank out a bit.
Okay.
So, and then we'd like to finish abandoning that corrugated metal pipe that's on the east side.
Mr. Chair, and that has no water at all going through it?
No, no,
And it's not needed for anything?
it's not needed for anything.
Okay.
It hasn't been working for I don't know how long. And yeah, there's no evidence on the west side. The only reason I realized maintenance has been missing it, the only reason I realized there was a pipe there is I actually looked there to see what was making it slump.
Okay.
Okay.
And,
That may have been a factor then.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Off to 78, unless there's no any other question.
So you said, on that one, you said you will fill it up,
Yeah, we'll fill it up with sand.
so it's basically like it's not even there anymore.
Correct, correct. I think, right, so we gotta do something with it when we reclaim the road,
Sure.
because when we reclaim the road, we're gonna go deeper. And I don't think we'll hit it, but, you know, we're gonna have more vibration on that road trying to reclaim it and
So that's-
stuff, and
that's
it's just gonna.
stabilization then.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
County ditch 78 branch 1-B. Now that's only a tile that's on the county system. But I am showing some culvert work because a culvert is next to the county tile. And so what would, and what's there right now is a corrugated, yeah, it's a metal pipe crossing that's corroded out. So we'd like to plug, fill, and abandon that existing line and put in a new 12-inch reinforced concrete pipe next to it. And what we also plan on doing is putting some inspection tees at our right-of-way line. That way, anybody can come and see and make sure it's still working. And so that, let me read it. I believe we're just gonna jack that pipe.
Okay.
So yeah, so what's there now is an old 12-inch corrugated metal pipe that's reached its life, and so we're gonna put a new 12-inch concrete pipe 10 feet off from the old alignment. So the bends we're gonna put in are gonna be corrugated plastic pipe that are gradual. Because when we offset it, we're gonna have to bend the existing alignment to get it in and out. That will be plastic and pipe with plastic fittings, so the bend isn't sharp, and we don't want to cause more head losses in the tile system. Yeah, so that's our proposal for that.
Question here? Makes sense, okay.
Okay.
27?
Okay, the next one, County Ditch 27. What's there right now is on the west side of the road, it is a big inlet hole, basically. And I know when I've been looking at the pipe, one landowner came up to me and told me something there has to be fixed because he's been in it twice with his snowmobile. So it is a, you know, snowmobilers do use it. It is, get a car in there and stop it. It's dangerous. Our proposal to fix it is to add a 78-inch riser pipe to drop the water in and to connect all the pipe coming from the field into it, and then replacing that corrugated, what's there right now is a 48-inch CMP pipe, corrugated metal pipe. Replace that corrugated metal pipe with a 48-inch reinforced concrete pipe.
Are all of those concrete crossings then tied together? I mean, is that
Yeah.
part of your engineering
Yeah,
nowadays?
yeah.
You don't, it's not just a slip fit, it's actually
Right,
anchored
so
together.
we'll slip fit it, it's gonna be gasketed, and we're gonna tie it,
Okay.
which is ideal. Because what's happening is if you don't tie
Right.
it, the
Starts sloughing
frost
out.
makes it slip apart, and then you get road fill in there, and becomes a problem with the road too.
Okay.
So yeah, currently what's draining from the field is a 24-inch tile, an 18-inch, and a 12-inch. So we're going to connect all those into that vertical riser.
So the vertical riser capacity will cause some lift in that area, right? Because that's larger than your outflow. So there's,
Well, it's going to have a base flow.
okay,
So that's kind of included in the calculations, that you're gonna have several cubic feet per second base flow. And then it's also, the surface flow is gonna come in from the ditch and dump in
right.
and flow through the new concrete pipe going underneath the road. And we're keeping the same elevations as what's there right now, and just dropping it in and making it so the hole's gone and you just have a grate and a vertical riser, so people shouldn't be falling into that hole. And all the tile is gonna be going into that vertical riser.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any questions on that?
Do you have anything, Jonathan? Okay. Next.
Okay. And then County Ditch 23. I'm showing that the county ditch goes right up to the right-of-way line. And then, but we do have a culvert and we do have a tile dumping, crossing the road, dumping into that ditch.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if it's private or if it's county, but right now I'm assuming it's county. I'm putting it through the hearing process.
Okay.
So what's right there right now is a 24-inch corrugated metal pipe. So that pipe is metal, it's corroded. We're actually going to move that south a bit and at the same elevation and replace it with concrete pipe. And then the tile that's right underneath that pipe is going to be replaced too with concrete 12. No, what's right there? What's there right now is 15-inch pipe, corrugated metal pipe, and we're going to replace it with 15-inch concrete pipe tile at the same elevation that is there already.
So everything that's in the crossing, just so I'm clear, is going to be replaced with the same dimension, only in concrete,
Correct, with the same flow
with the
lines.
same flow rates
Yeah.
and
Sa-
the stability that concrete offers us.
Yeah.
So we're not changing capacities as best we can tell.
Correct. We're
Yeah.
keeping the same flow lines and the same grade. but the only difference is what's there right now is the existing pipe is directly over the tile.
Okay,
So I'm offsetting that pipe and the tile so they're not over each other, and then dumping them back into
into the open ditch.
the open ditch, and putting rock riprap on that out downstream side to keep it from eroding the ditch
Okay.
on our right of way.
Any questions on this item? That's the extent of our group, is that right? There were 6?
Yeah, so that's correct. So that's what's gonna happen in Nicollet
Okay.
County.
Can I go back just a little bit, Mr.
Please.
Chair?
Go ahead, John.
Yep.
Now, the tile is under this last item.
Yeah.
It's several feet below the crossing, or?
Yeah, it's actually, you have your existing, corrugated metal pipe,
Okay.
and and the tile is right on the ditch bottom, basically. It's outletting on the ditch bottom. So it's below several feet, below the corrugated metal pipe. So the corrugated metal pipe is draining surface flow, and the tile, buried tile, is draining subsurface, which is on the which its outlet elevation is on the bottom of the county ditch 23.
Keeping them separate is the way to do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So if you do have problems, you can, they're offset. You don't have to
Okay,
remove one or the other.
thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Kolarz.
thank you. Kyle, thanks for being here today.
Uh-huh.
As a hydrologist, can you tell me, well, first of all, thanks to MnDOT for remodeling 111.
Yep.
How long will that remodel last, the grinding and reshaping?
It should last probably a good 3 months. Probably next I believe the road is going to go in next year, 2020 project, and it's going to be probably a total summer project, 3 months.
And what is the cost that you've just described to us? You have a sense of that? And those are state dollars, right?
Yeah, so the plans are not totally done. I'm not sure about the cost for the piping part. So those are good questions for the project manager, and I'm not sure when they're going to talk about this project, but I think they're going to talk about this project totally at a different time.
Well, I think we all agree, anyone who's traveled on 111,
Yes.
it's been a long time awaiting. For
Correct.
that to be-
There's a lot of truck traffic on that.
Yep, takes a
Uh,
beating. Typically with the design, for what you know of it, what can we anticipate for a life expectancy of a rebuild like this? How long do we typically anticipate that road to last?
So I know reclaiming it, grinding it, and then they're using very heavy duty asphalt with their pavement. So it's gonna be my guess, a good 15 years. I mean, there's gonna be some maintenance,
Right.
but this maintenance should then be mill and overlays. So what we're doing is we're adding a good aggregate base.
Right.
Because what's there right now is a lot of organics.
Yep.
So that's making the road frost, you're gonna have problems with frosting and stuff. So reclaiming it, grinding it, using the existing pavement there and grinding it back into gravel,
Mhm.
and then putting a good surface over that should give it a good 15 years life, good 15 to 20. I know we say 20, but you're gonna have mill and overlays in there, to make it go to 50, but
Sure. Sure.
But, having nothing done to it, it should be last a good 15 years after that, before you see the next mill and overlay.
That was kind of where I was.
I assume that's why I just wanted to drill down on that to make
Right,
sure.
right.
Were there any other specific questions? I do have one additional technical question.
Yeah.
So you're through this project and you're in the process of the project and we find something, a crossing that we haven't identified yet. What is the procedural issues for MnDOT during that? So there may be a private
Yeah,
crossing we don't
yeah.
know about, there may be
Yeah.
something else we don't
Right.
know about. How do we handle that at the time it happens, or is that part of what's spec'd in your project that you're gonna fix whatever's there?
So say the project's done and tile is having a problem. What those landowners need to do is come in, get a permit, and what we'll do is probably core or bore or do both to put a new pipe in if we miss it, or something happens. But we've been out there, we've looked at old plans and old records and tried to identify and video all the tile crossings and pipe crossings we could
So
find.
you're pretty comfortable with your recommendations and what you're asking?
Yeah,
for
yeah,
today?
I'm pretty confident. There's some tile crossings, private tile crossings that we're placing pipe on with 12-inch.
Gotcha. So you've already had contact with some of those landowners and already pretty much identified a lot of that?
Yeah, we've identified a lot of that already.
Okay.
So hopefully we got it all.
Good, okay.
Um,
If I may exercise, Nate, have you been a part of this or talked to anybody?
I've talked with Kyle for a few years now, and I've met with him and looked over the plans and.
Is this
a lot of the
consistent
ditch
with
stuff-
what
A
we
lot of
see?
stuff they're abandoning and putting in new pipes is on ditches that have been lowered.
Okay,
So the old pipe was left in just for cost savings, and
Okay.
now it's a good time to address it.
and you're confident that what they're proposing will address those issues and as best we can, right?
It should be a benefit for the ditch system to replace and repair what's there, so.
And so, yeah, the piping is gonna have a longer life than the
Right.
road. So,
Well, and now's the time to do it, when we're having
Yes,
close and dig it up.
right.
And make sure the base is stable enough when we're all done.
right, so then, after this project, after we reclaim it and add a good bituminous surface on there, the fixes in the future for this road should be, more what we call preservation type fixes, mill and overlay.
Right.
And the piping will probably most likely be left alone.
Sure. Okay.
Unless, we decide we want, then we want to
I
extend the
understand
pipe
that, but
further.
we're just trying to make sure that
Yeah.
going forward, we're trying to cover as many of the bases we can, and we
Yeah.
certainly appreciate that.
Yeah.
Since this is a matter of public hearing, did you have anything else, Colin?
Well, I gotta make sure that I get a copy of the board's orders,
Right.
on the decisions.
And we will, and we have drafts of that prepared. It's, now we have to go into the rest of our public hearing
Okay.
component. So I open it to the audience and those present. This is a public hearing on the request for MnDOT and the changes with regard to the county crossings. Is there anybody that would like to address the board or address this issue? I see very few lunging to the microphone, but again, first call, second call. Jackie, is there anything else you'd like to add? You're comfortable with where we've been through this process?
Yep.
Any other additional questions? I will then close the public hearing. I'm sorry?
Do we need to move this order?
Yes.
After we close the
after we
meeting?
close the
Okay.
meeting.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Public meeting is closed. Any other comments or questions from the board? I see none. I'd entertain a motion then to authorize the order as
So moved.
submitted.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Kyle, for your time and
Thank you.
your perseverance with us. I believe that completes our agenda for the Drainage Authority. And I see no one demanding more time, so I'd entertain Madam
Anything?
County Attorney. Did you have anything to share with us going forward on this? I'm sorry, I neglected you earlier. I apologize.
No, on this specific issue, no, I don't have anything.
Okay, all right. Anything else on any ditch authority business that we need to address right now?
No, not to be addressed today.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much for your time and your perseverance.